Hi, AP Seminar students, Mr. Muller here, and in today's lesson we're going to be talking about two really important for this course but very confusing terms. And the reason why is there are so many different ways to teach this and there's really no concrete way to instruct people how to do this. It's called analysis and it's called synthesis, and it's very difficult. But hopefully through watching this video you'll be able to understand what both of them are and how to do them in creating arguments. Hope you're excited. I'm excited. Let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is analysis. Analysis is really simple. Analysis is basically answering the question, what does your evidence mean? And in both analysis and synthesis, it's mostly about evidence. So when you analyze evidence, you're extending it out. You're telling me what it means. You're telling me how that evidence is significant to the claims that you are making. Again, insert a subclaim. You're going to use evidence to try to support what you're arguing. Now, extend it out. Tell me how that relates to your claim or how that proves the claim/subclaims that you're making in an argument. Synthesis isn't extending evidence out. It's connecting evidence together. It's like trying to make a jigsaw puzzle or trying to sew a quilt. It's trying to take multiple sources together in order to create a cohesive argument. And even though these sources are disconnected, through how you stack them together and how you transition them together in terms of your claims, they come together. But synthesis is very difficult because in order to connect pieces of evidence, first you need to know what your claims are and what the evidence says. You need to correctly identify the line of reasoning in those pieces of evidence so that you can see the connections between them. You need to see how they're similar, and you need to create a gap, a bridge between them. So once you understand them both and how they connect, you need to create some sort of bridge to put them together, just like in that picture there. So when you're trying to synthesize two pieces of information or multiple pieces of evidence together, ask yourself these three questions. Well, first off, what's the main claim and evidence used in my sources? So when I'm looking at my sources, what are they trying to say? What's their main claim? What's the evidences that they use? Okay, how do these sources connect together? What are some similarities I see between them? How do I see them conflict? How do I see differences between them? Because I can also synthesize pieces of evidence together by saying how they're different as long as I'm working it together to show flow in my argument. And how can I combine the ideas of both to say something new? Synthesis is, again, taking pieces, connecting them together in order to say something new that wasn't said before, and that's very difficult. But in order to do that, you need to understand what those sources are saying, and you need to understand how they're similar, how they're different, so you can connect them together. So let's take a look at a great example of synthesis. This comes from a research paper, an English literature research paper on Jane Eyre. And what this person has done is they took all these different sources and they explained what the sources were saying and they analyzed them and they extended them out. But at the end of this section, they took all of their sources and they connected them all together to support the claim that they were making. So let's take a look at this. What Spivak, which is an author for one of their sources, has identified for the purposes of this essay is the way in which physical spaces have the capacity to influence Jane's, who's a character in Jane Eyre's, involvement or relationship with imperialism. So again, she would have introduced the evidence, she's extending it out with analysis here. For Spivak, such discursive and narrative tendencies increase Jane's supportive involvement and relationship with imperialism. So again, looking at physical spaces, Jane's involvement in imperialism, just keep that here. Now watch how we get connected with another source. Meyer, which is another source, provides a more nuanced, contrasting view, so we see how they're different, that recognizes some of the possibilities for the novel's resistance. One such possibility that has been left unaddressed is the element of liminality. So they're saying, here's one particular source and what they say, here's another source that conflicts, but I'm connecting them together because her main claim is, or what she's trying to research, is liminality in the book Jane Eyre. So she went from looking at imperialism with this one source, now we're narrowing that down with liminality, and she's connecting them together. Now let's see more. Gilead, which is another source, has outlined the ways in which the novel and Jane take up and display liminality. So we're looking at liminality from Meyer and how it's displayed in the source of Gilead. which, given liminality's anti-structural tendencies, indicates that Jane Eyre and Jane do demonstrate resistance, so she's connecting those two sources together. Yet, Gilead also discusses the moments when Jane leaves liminality and re-enters social institutions and structures. So why did this person then say something new with Gilead's idea? Let's see how they connect it to that next source. Althusser then, so another source, provides the framework by which we can understand such a process that she just mentioned in the previous sentence by establishing and defining the ideas of interpolation and ideological state apparatuses. Finally, said, another source, helps us understand what the process that Jane undergoes reveals. So saying, here's the process from Althusser, and here's from Sage says what that reveals about the relationship between individuals and their society institution. Every single one of those sources are connected together to try and prove this author's main claim. Now that is amazing synthesis. I can see how every single source is connected together to try and prove an argument. And when they're all connected together, they say something new. That is synthesis. Is that difficult? Oh yeah. We will practice it more when you actually come into class. But I want to let you know, this is what I am training you to do. Seeing all those sources and getting you to connect them together to make that argument. Getting you to analyze those sources and really say what they mean and stretch them out. And when you understand what they mean, connect it to another source and seeing how they either differ or connect together in order to create argument. So how does synthesis get organized? And again, you saw an example of what synthesis was, but in your paper there are a couple of different ways that you can synthesize sources together. What you can do is stack the evidence. So you can insert the evidence and put some analysis in, insert evidence that's also similar, put some analysis in, and then give me some sort of synthesis statement that connects them both together, just like you saw in the previous example. In this case, it's like an x plus x equals y. X would be one source, the other x is another source. You put them together, and you get something new because you've combined the ideas of both of those pieces of evidence together to prove whatever subclaim that you're making is. There's another way to do it. Instead of just stack, and then give me the synthesis at the end, you can insert one piece of evidence, give me some analysis, make a synthesis statement that will connect it to another source, then insert that source in analysis. So again, in one sense, you're stacking the evidence on top of each other and then doing a synthesis statement at the end, or you can introduce a piece of evidence and analysis, put that synthesis statement in, then put the second piece of evidence in. There's a couple different ways to synthesize, but still you're connecting evidence together. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways, and here's the X synthesis X way, that this looks like in a body paragraph. I've introduced, again, your signal phrase is introducing the evidence, analysis. I'm not going to go through all this, but take a look at that. This is one way that you can synthesize evidence in a body paragraph, and it also brings in the ideas of signal phrases from our previous video. Here's how you would do it if you were going to stack evidence together with a signal phrase synthesis section at the end. Now, one thing I really want to emphasize is actually at the bottom of these notes. The way you know if you're synthesizing things correctly, because that's a great question, right, Mr. Muller? How do I know if I'm synthesizing my sources correctly? Read it backwards. Because if you start at the end of that subclaim, let's say you've got one paragraph to try to prove a subclaim, it's got 2-3 pieces of evidence. If you can read it backwards and it still all flows together, then you know you've synthesized because it flows, it's still cohesive. If you see some gaps if you read it backwards, then you haven't synthesized somewhere here correctly and you need to address that. That's the trick. It's like trying to do a math problem when you're working with integers, like 2x plus 5 equals 7, I don't know. Well, how do you make sure that your integer is right? Well, plug it into the original equation. Does it actually equal out? Now, if you'd like to see some examples of this in actual individual essays that you're going to be writing in our course, I've got 2 links here. Just take my slides, open them up, you have permission to view them, and look at how both of these examples do synthesis. Now, one of them is going to do very well at it, and I've also given you a very poor example of synthesis, and I want you to see how different they are. Take about 10 minutes just take a look at them. Read the introduction, maybe read the first couple of body paragraphs, and see how these authors are using analysis and synthesis or not using analysis and synthesis. And as a reader, how does that help or hurt your acceptance of the argument that they're making? Well, that's analysis and synthesis for you. Hope you learned something you didn't know before. Thanks for watching.